Hello, I'm David the Collector, and I'm at an exciting art show. Today we are at New Image Art for the show called Manta, which means cotton, by Lilah Rose. Lilah Rose brings imageries of cars and landscapes and waves together in fabrical sculptures that hang from the wall. Let's go check it out.
My name is Lilah Rose.
Cool, wonderful. What is the name of the show?
Manta.
How did you come up with the show name?
I buy plain cotton fabric at a store down the street from where I work in the garment district, and I noticed that it says Manta first and then cotton second. And then I was thinking about the implications of like that being a blanket that kind of smothers everything, kind of like cars do, which is also a theme of my work.
Okay.
And then manta rays are like the first sea creatures that were able to like recognize themselves in a mirror, which I thought was really unusual, but has some echo in my work. It's like you think you can see yourself, but not quite, I hope.
Can you tell us about this piece?
This piece I really like because typically I can't tell how long it's going to take me to make something, and I wish that I could because that would make things a lot easier. And I think that this came together in like 3 days, and I think you can tell that the colors and the form and the shape and the whole composition is just exactly how I wanted it to be. So I was like, that's a winner. So I will always treasure it. And I'm sad to part with it also.
So tell us about this one.
So I'm glad my husband's not here because he would be totally embarrassed that I'm sharing this, but when he was a little kid, his name is Jean, like Jean, and he claims that he had a crush on a girl in his neighborhood when he was little named Jeanette, and he would write her name on cars in the neighborhood. And I just thought it was funny because now I am a woman that he's married to, and I love cars. And now I'm writing I Love Jeanette on cars. So it's like, just kind of like an endless time loop, like a memory that exists forever.
Tell us a bit about the process of how it comes together. What are the steps to making this?
It was so difficult with this one. I thought there is a relief sculpture near where I work that's like, the background is blue and then it's kind of like white marble, carved out, and it's kind of like this waterfall shape, and I thought that was so lovely. And I thought I could do this easily with fabric, and this will be the thing that will always only take me 3 days, and this is going to be the formula that's going to work forever. But yeah. As I was thinking about the subject matter, it just became so personal that it just like, I just wanted to do it justice so badly that it just took forever. And so if you were to x-ray this, you'd see so many different other layers inside of where I'd like rip it apart and like cover stuff up. Because yeah, I'm difficult to please and I won't stop until I feel like it's perfect, so. Do
you stitch it together first or dye it first?
It's never the same process
okay.
once, but it's like, yeah, it's both. And that's an interesting question actually, because it's weird if you like get a big stretch of fabric and you dye it with a strange palette first, and then you draw from that, you'll get a whole different result than as if you're like building it and then dyeing it as you go.
Okay.
And yeah, I hope to kind of explore that more in the future because it's really weird how it just like, you'd think that if you just dye it all at once beforehand that would provide a reliable result, but it totally makes your brain think about it in a different way.
I'm struggling almost to imagine how this comes together, and just you describing it, I'm starting to imagine it more and more, sort of how all the pieces come.
Yeah.
I think in my mind it was something that you had to dye before for some reason, the idea that you could dye it once it was like this.
Most of these elements were dyed afterwards, like as I go. And
that's amazing, that's so cool.
It's so weird. Yeah, and I guess I'm always trying to kind of improvise with fabric, which is I think something that people don't usually associate with like being able to improvise with, Okay. Like they associate with like pattern making and being a designer and being really competent, like in a constructional form. It's not like clay where you can fling it together, but
Yeah.
I'm doing my best to make it seem like clay flung together.
This is one of my favorites here. You can see the 4 cars sort of zooming by with the smoke coming off, and all the different tie-dye elements sort of come together in this satin sewn together fabric sculpture.
This is like height of the pandemic craziness, very claustrophobic. I'm so happy to have this out of my studio, honestly, 'cause every time I looked at it, I'm like, yes, the room feels very small. But I used to do a lot more work like this, and there's a smaller piece in the other room actually where it shows like this architectural kind of form where the arches and sort of the stairways and stuff. And I wanted to do another piece that would kind of honor that form, but it really just didn't feel like it was working. It felt kind of clumsy and inadequate, and like it was just not coming together. And then my husband, Jean, out of nowhere was like, "Why don't you put a snake in it?" It's like, all right. And apparently he meant something different, but I took it really literally, and he's like, "Well, that's not really what I had in mind, but it looks good." But it's also funny because I used to have a pink snake, and it was kind of part of our initial courtship. That one night, really late at night, he came over and we were like being really flirty, and I was like, "Do you want to hold my snake?" And he's like, "Absolutely not. I'm scared of them." I was like, "Yeah, you do." And I kind of like threw the snake on him. And then he started making art about snakes. So coming full circle.
Amazing.
But yeah, and also it's just all about like pandemic craziness for me. It's like feeling like just tense. Is the world over, you know? And that's why I called it Snake in the House, because it's like this strange like worm snake in your mind where you're like, is this the end, you know?
This piece is amazing. I definitely saw some of it, but didn't even notice the snake until you pointed it out.
So many people don't notice it, and that freaks me out. It's like, I feel like it's all I can see, but I guess that would make sense.
I totally see it now. As soon as you pointed out, the head is there, and you can sort of see the entire the body. Yeah, yeah. For some reason, this one felt to me almost like magical castle, jungle gym, sort of all combined.
Yeah, that was definitely like how my work began. It's like I love building like fairy castles and stuff like that. Something like a miniature home for something else to live in. So this is called prions, because prion's a disease, which is really scary, and I'm worried about it. But it turns your brain into Swiss cheese, essentially. I think it's like kind of like people generally understand that, and it's very like it can't be killed. It's really weird. Like it lives in dirt and like inanimate materials, and it just kind of lays dormant for forever. It's not like the plague where it travels with a living body like rats. And then I was thinking about cars as usual, and I kind of feel like it has a similar vibe where it's just like they're inert and they can't move without us, but they do move all the time and they're everywhere. And they're these big metal bodies that need us to animate them, and it's just like the nonstop production of them is just kind of covering the earth with this blanket. So again, like this is all cars. It's kind of like a mirror image thing. So it's like, sorry if I'm doing the wrong, but it's like that's a windshield, wheel, and it's just kind of like splitting apart because I had this idea that it was like a zipper ripping down the world, kind of spilling out this disease that's really hard to understand, but is so intimately able to kill us. It's like about industrial smothering, which is what a lot of my work is about. So yeah, this V shape is supposed to be like something ripping down something else and just spilling out a whole new thing.
I like the soft materials, but sort of the underlying nature of the car and sort of how those juxtapose against each other. It's very interesting.
This one, it's called Shroud of Ferrari. Cars seem very snazzy and new all the time, and that's how they're pushed, but they're already ancient history, you know? And like everybody is so freaked out when they don't have the latest car, so it's like even the cool one that you just got is already ancient history. You just got to get another one. So it's a funeral shroud for a Ferrari.
Okay. Amazing.
Yeah, so there's like car here, wheels, headlights, windshield, more wheels, racing numbers, car, body of the car, top of the car.
Do you build cars?
No, but I went to school outside of Detroit for a while.
Okay.
And then just being here is like, I can't help myself. Like, and I had never worked with a subject before, so I wanted to try that experience of making art, like actually focusing on something deliberately. And they're just, in LA, it's such a car town. And like, I've also lived in like Chicago and other places that definitely have more of like a public transit system going on, and it is so markedly different here, and there's such an attachment that people have to having at least one car, if not like 2 or 3 or 4 or 5.
And in the past, there was sort of craftsmanship. You would take care of your own car and sort of make sure it was good, and now there isn't, but there's still craftsmanship here, right? So
yes, that's
cars
true.
are still being built.
Yes, they are.
Sort of reclaiming the car in this soft fabric, right? Sort of reclaiming the craftsmanship. It feels like a rebellion almost against the right, the industrial nature of what a car has represented.
Yeah, and I do love them. Like it's a love and hate thing, because I think the body and the design are just gorgeous. You know, when you get a really good one like old Corvettes or Porsches, any of these, they're just like, they're so streamlined and just luxurious looking. And that, I like to use satin because I feel like it emulates the sheen of metal. And I have a lot of respect for that. I didn't go to like art school, but I did go like to an art summer camp when I was really little, and I just remember they just asked us to draw an object from all angles at the same time, and that just like blew my mind forever. And now I feel like I will never stop using that to understand art and making art.
Thank you so much. Is there anything you want to shout out?
Shout out my husband, Jean Nagai, who pushed me to keep making art, and I would not be doing any of this without him. So, thanks, honey.